Properties and application of ceramics of zirconium oxide. So is the manufacture of partial stabilized zirconia manufacturing. This manufacturing the pure zirconia oxide is not stable. Okay, this material is not stable in the normal environment. So we want to produce the partial stabilized zirconia. Okay, so this partially stabilization of zirconia is a PSZ is manufactured by adding of the some stabilizer, um, some adding a some stabilizer. So such stabilizer is to withstand the zirconium oxide in the environment is the calcium oxide. Okay, is the calcium oxide one type of stabilizer used in zirconium oxide. Next one is the yttrium oxide Y2O3 and magnesium oxide MgO. This is a stabilizer used in the zirconium oxide manufacturing. So this normally this zirconium oxide is three crystal structure changes. Three crystal structure changes at high temperature. During high temperature melting, his structure is cubic structure at high temperature. During cooling process, this structure is tetragonal structure. At the room temperature is the room temperature at the monoclinic crystal structure. So this is a structural change of zirconium oxide. If we are adding the stabilizer is means the to avoid the zirconium oxide cracking. Okay, suppose we adding the stabilizer means we can avoid the cracking in the zirconium oxide. So during the cooling process, the cracking, the volume changes, okay, happen in the zirconium oxide. So if we are adding the stabilizer means we can avoid this cracking in the structure. Okay, so these changes leads to the cracking is formed. The structural changes lead to cracking is formed. To avoid the cracking, okay, so mainly to avoid the cracking, so add the stabilizer in zirconium oxide. So partial stabilized zirconia means, so only add 5% of stabilizer. Fully stabilized zirconia means 18% of stabilizer adding. Okay, this is the calcium oxide, yttrium oxide and magnesium oxide is the stabilizer used in the zirconium oxide powder production. So okay, so mainly three structural changes: cubic, tetragonal structure and monoclinic structure. During these changes, okay, during structural changes lead to the cracking in the material. So if we are adding the stabilizer means we can avoid the cracking in the zirconium oxide material. So properties: excellent fracture toughness material, the greater tensile strength than alumina, resistant to wear, corrosion, abrasion properties, low thermal conductivity material, high temperature stability material, mainly used in the thermal applications area, is one of the biocompatibility is used for dental and orthopedic application area, is a high thermal expansion material. Okay, is the high thermal expansion. So application of zirconium oxide is main used for pumps and cutting tool manufacturing, some medical applications for dental grounds, orthopedic implants for hip joints manufacturing, so rotor blades in jet turbine manufacturing, thermal insulation in metallurgical process, sensor for measuring oxygen content, mainly used in manufacturing sensors area, so measure the oxygen content, some structural component manufacturing in the solid oxide fuel cell, solid oxide fuel cell manufacturing, structural and refractory material manufacturing area, some IC engine material. Okay, nowadays, so zirconium oxide partially stabilized zirconium used for some IC engine parts. Okay, IC engine parts. This is application of zirconium oxide. So mainly used for pumps and cutting tool, dental crowns, orthopedic implants for hip joint, rotor blades in jet turbine, thermal insulation in metallurgical process, sensor, so mainly used for sensor, so measuring the oxygen content, structural components of solid oxide fuel cell, structural and refractory material, IC engine materials manufacturing. Thank you.